ASUU strike as Minister of Education denies getting 2 weeks to resolve the impasse. And the Minister of Finance says Nigeria spent 18.39 billion naira daily on subsidy, with a calculation of 64.96 million liters per day consumption when she appeared before the House of Reps. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm sure Kimbalo in Abuja. Let's continue our countdown. It doesn't look like the ASUU strike will come to an end. Hopefully, we expected that it will be, but then there is a stalemate. And we continue our countdown on the action of the university lecturers, which has now entered 187 days since they went on strike, shutting down most federal universities' classrooms in the country. They began the strike actions which keeping students away from the classrooms. The standoff between the federal government and the university lecturers continue, and the students continue to be idle. The Minister of Education has intervened based on President Buhari's order, and today he's been speaking about his decision and what he's doing. And with what he stands right now, we will be hearing from the minister, because after the weekly ministerial briefing in Abuja, the minister told State House correspondents that the president instead told him to resolve the issues within the shortest time possible. Contrary to what the Minister of Labor and Employment, Chris Inge, told the media, he insisted that he would not succumb to ASUU's demand for their members to be paid the backlog of salaries withheld within the period of 6 months that they were on strike, noting that it is a penalty for their action. The Minister of Education also disclosed that 5 of the university-based unions will likely call off their strike within the next 1 week, while that of ASUU remains uncertain. Let's take a listen to the Minister of Education.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline. So you shouldn't start asking me why I haven't delivered in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Or I know I promised that I could do it within the shortest possible time. And for your information, 1 week after that pledge, I had already finished my job, because I had given all the unions, all the 6 of them, the offer made by government. And I want to tell you, in principle, all of them accepted it. The only exception was ASUU, that gave me 2 other conditions, which I told them that this will not be acceptable to government. But I had to report back, and it was turned down. And I called the negotiation committee 2 days ago and told them this is the stand of my informal contact with ASUU. Please, they should go and continue the renegotiation. Let ASUU tell them their official position now. They met yesterday and day before yesterday. I think ASUU are consulting their principals, consulting the people on campuses, whether to call it off.
The Minister of Education, Minister Adamu, and hopefully we'll be hearing also from the university lecturers on their decision based on federal government stand as of today. Well, let's give you an update on what is happening around the states of the Federation on your political roundup.
The national chairman of Accord Party, Mr. Mohammed Nalado, is asking Nigerian youths to take advantage of their numerical strength to enthrone themselves politically during the 2023 general elections. Speaking in Abuja at the unveiling of Mr. Balamaru as the party's vice presidential candidate for 2023, Mr. Nalado says the active participation of youths in politics is the only way they can rescue themselves from politicians who do not mean well for them.
Accord is back again to reclaim the lost glories of this our great nation, Nigeria.
The Katsina State Governor Aminu Masari is expressing confidence that the ruling All Progressives Congress will return to power in 2023. Speaking to journalists in Ibajai, Felodun local government area of Kwara State, the governor notes that those predicting that it would be difficult for the ruling party to win don't know what they are saying, adding that the issues affecting Nigeria have a global dimension, hence other countries are facing similar problems. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike today continued with a series of commissioning infrastructure, with a flag off of the 11th flyover to be constructed by his administration. Speaking during the event at the Rumokuta-Rumola Junction in Obiakpo local government area, Governor Wike explained that he is embarking on a number of flyover projects to solve the immediate and future traffic challenge that is caused by steady population growth in the city. A federal high court sitting in Abuja, presided over by Justice Ahmed Mohammed, sitting as a vacation judge, has declined to grant interim orders sought by the suspended General Secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mrs. Joyce Odua, seeking to restrain the acting General Secretary of the association from performing his duties following her suspension. The plaintiff is also seeking an order restraining the NBA from acting or relying on the resolution reached by the National Executive Committee and an order directing the Inspector General of Police to assist her in the discharge of her duties as General Secretary. The court, however, ordered that the respondent be put on notice and adjourned the suit to the 23rd of August 2022 for hearing. Members of the FCT chapter of the Coalition of Political Parties in Nigeria have distanced themselves from a group which claims to have rejected the tribunal judgment on the Amak Area Council elections, which sacked the PDP candidate, Christopher Mekalangu, and asked the APC candidates to be sworn in. They say since the PDP candidate has appealed the judgment, all parties in the matter must wait for the outcome, as all judgments of the court are binding, either the loser in this case, the PDP likes it or not.
The judiciary is the hope of the common man. If that is a place where you go or you run to and get justice, why would somebody tell you that where you have gone to and gotten justice is a place that cannot be regarded?
And a group under the aegis of Imo Coalition for True Democracy, Peace and Unity, comprising of traders, transporters, public servants and youth associations in Imo State, have commended the Uzodinma-led administration for its giant strides in providing quality infrastructure, especially good roads in Imo State, since assuming office 2 years ago. Members of the group in their numbers took to major streets in Owerri, the Imo State capital, carrying banners with various inscriptions in solidarity with the administration of Governor Hope Uzodinma.
We are now in true democracy. The roads are being done justifiably.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Now, let's touch on one issue that is perhaps very, very important for all of us, and is on the state of the economy, before we get into mainstream politics tonight. And it's the fact that the Minister of Finance, Ms. Zainab Ahmed, has put the daily payment for fuel subsidy at 18.39 billion naira. According to the minister, that is calculated using the information provided by the NNPP and the regulator. This information, she says, shows that 64.96 million liters per day is the average daily truck out. She also explains that 1.774 trillion naira was paid to independent oil marketers as subsidy in 4 years. Now let's take a listen to Mrs. Ahmed when she appeared before the House of Reps Committee today.
The total amount of subsidy per day is 18.397 billion naira per day. So if you're projecting for the full year, January to December, it will be 6.715 trillion. If you're projecting for half year, it will be 50% of that, 3.375 trillion. And as I said earlier on, the recommendation that we sent to Parliament for consideration on the MTEF is half year. That will be 3.357 trillion. That was the first issue on the parameters. And then we have an analysis that can be circulated for members, or maybe it's already circulated to members. The second question that was raised is on the issue of the Consolidated Revenue Fund management. The management of the CRF is the responsibility of the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning. The CRF is where funding that belongs to the federal government is moved to from the federation account, and it is from the CRF that distribution is made to the various tiers of government or federal government.
Well, that's the Minister of Finance. Let's get a sense of some of these issues on the state of the economy. There was a probe committee that was set up by the House of Representatives, which the minister appeared before today on the issue of the fuel subsidy and other allied matters. I'm being joined by a former director of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Muda Yusuf, who joins us virtually from Lagos. Thank you so much, Mr. Yusuf, for joining us tonight. Give us a sense of the impact of what the minister just highlighted on this subsidy. It's obvious that we do not have a choice. We have to stick with the regime. But we look at what happened with the NNPC, the new face and the new tenure of the NNPC, vis-a-vis what the minister said today, and the state of the economy, the state of the debt in the country, the inflation rate. What do you make of all of these ramifications? Because at the end of the day, the MBS came out a few days ago with the CPI, which it's how many years now? A lot of people will say about 14 or 15 more years. This is the first time we've got into that level. What are your general thoughts on the state of the economy?
Well, thank you very much. These are very disturbing numbers. These are very disturbing scenarios that are unfolding. But let me say that this is not new. When the minister presented the MTEF a few weeks ago, I think he highlighted the figures for subsidy. It was well over 6 trillion. She presented 2 scenarios. Scenario 1, business as usual. Scenario 2, which is the withdrawal of, the withdrawal of subsidy. But taking the first scenario, which is the sustenance of subsidy, it was clear that we are in for a very, very difficult time. Because clearly, spending this amount of money on subsidy is clearly not sustainable, unless we want to cripple this economy entirely. Because we are beginning to see the indications of that. Now, the minister said that if you have to continue to spend this way, there will be no budgetary provision for capital projects in 2023. That has never happened in the history of this country. Secondly, it's a vicious circle. The more we spend this kind of money this way, the more we incur more debts, the higher the level of deficits, the higher the level of CDM financing of the deficits, the higher the deficit servicing budget, and all of this is have implications even for all the macroeconomic variables that you mentioned. It has implications for money supply growth. It has implications for inflation. It has implications for exchange rate depreciation. So the impact is economy-wide. The impact is systemic. I know that the issue of subsidy is a politically sensitive issue, but we need to see how we can step out of it, even if we have to do that gradually. So my proposal is that there has to be
has become some kind of a malignant growth in the skin of our polity as a people. And an average person, if you ask, an economist will say, we should let it go. But you've mentioned it's a sensitive political matter. But the House of Reps were willing to know the details, and they were probing, and they wanted to know the record of subsidy payments from the consolidated revenue account since January 2013. Devil, they say sometimes, is in the details. Some people benefiting, very few elites within the sector benefiting. Some people were accused or alleged. But where do we go from here? Because either we like it or not, the average man on the street will bear the brunt, isn't it?
Well, that is true. But let me also tell you that the reality is that outside locations such as Lagos and Abuja, in many other parts of the country, I'm not sure that majority of the citizens are buying fuel at the current official rate of, I think, from 165, it's now getting to 170. If you talk to those who are in the east or in the south, for instance, or in the far north, for many years they have been buying fuel at rates that are completely above what is called the official rate. So that is the situation. So even as we speak, a lot of citizens are already partially paying what you can call a fairly reflective market rates. But I take your point. If we should remove the entire thing suddenly at this time, the shock on the citizens will be unbearable. I agree with you. And that could snowball into social unrest, protests, and all of that, which you cannot afford at this time. But I think we can begin to take steps to gradually phase it out. And the political actors should also have the courage of their convictions. When Jonathan wanted to remove the subsidy, it was announced, but how many of the governors came out to support Jonathan at that time? Even those in the National Assembly, even the proponents of people who are saying that subsidy must go, all of them went quiet when the riots broke out. It was left only for Jonathan to begin to grapple with. So all the political actors should speak with one voice. There has to be further engagement with all the critical stakeholders, that we have to have an economy before we can have any other thing else. If you allow this subsidy problem to cripple the entire economy, the roof will be falling on all of us. And we cannot afford for that to happen. So the only way I think we can do is to gradually see how we can
the political expediency. Yeah, so apologies. I was going to drop this point for you to speak to it. The political expediency, politically speaking, you remove subsidy when elections are just a few months away, might be tantamount to a political suicide for a government in power that is also going to be on the ballot. Now, that's one argument on one hand. But the economy is speaking not in a positive direction as far as how much of that burden that the nation can carry, especially when you look at how much you're spending on servicing debt. Now, another question is the debate over the exact amount of petrol or fuel that we consume daily. This has been a debate for several years, and people are wondering, why is it happening? And there is the argument, and some people in government will tell you, that our petrol is very sweet for the market of neighboring countries. They love our petrol, and perhaps answers the question of why we may not be able to account for it. But what is the way out? 64.96 million liters per day. That is what the minister says we can account for. But is that really the true figure?
Well, I think the NNPC, I mean, she was quoting the NNPC. That is the amount that is being pumped into the market. But whether that is the amount of fuel we consume within this economy is a completely different matter. Because the structure of pricing as it is predisposes the whole situation, the whole ecosystem, to a lot of leakages. Leakages, first, from the point of the corruption that is associated with this phenomenon. Then there's also the leakages of smuggling. Our borders are extremely porous. This matter is not easy to monitor. No matter what you do, it's not easy to monitor because there are too many loose ends to police. So the only way out is to just face it out. We have seen this kind of probe before. It was this probe that consumed Farouk Lawan, former chairman of one of the committees in the House of Rep. I think the guy is in jail as we currently speak. It was this same subsidy investigation in the House. So there's so much corruption in the ecosystem. And this corruption is extremely difficult to deal with. And the only solution to it is to remove the platform completely. I agree, politically it's not expedient, but sometimes you have to face some reality. We don't want the ship to sink and everybody get drawn in the process. I'm not saying we should remove it entirely, but we should find a way to gradually phase it out, and we should expedite action on the rehabilitation of the refineries. At least we have been promised that before the end of this year, we begin to see some results also. That is also a window out of it. Then we have the Dangote refineries and other private refineries that are coming up. Whatever we can do to support them, let us do, so that we can get out of this conundrum. Because it will continue to haunt us. It's dragging down the economy. By the time you add these subsidy claims to the debt service, I mean, how much is left for the government? And yet you have the personnel costs to pay, you have the capital projects to deal with, then you have all these issues of ASUU and all of that requires very serious funding. How are we going to manage it?
All right. Mr. Amuda Yusuf, thank you so much, as always, for your insight on some of these issues. It's a puzzling circumstance for us as a nation, especially discussing the details of the Nigerian economy. Sometimes you just find, you look at the horizon and perhaps where you see hope and where that can beam some light into your heart so that you can continue to breathe very better as a citizen of this country. Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Muda Yusuf, for your time tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's tell you that the chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Senator Walid, the BOT of the PDP, Senator Walid Jibrin, is appealing to all parties in the lingering internal wrangling of the party to be calm. He says that he wished to call on all members of the PDP and all Nigerians to remain calm, never to create bad blood and confusion on the state of the party, noting that all efforts are on the ground to reconcile between Wike, the party, and the presidential candidate Elijah Atiku Abubakar. He said what is happening now should never be categorized as a problem, but misunderstanding within the party. He says at this period leading to the 2023 elections, we should concentrate on how to win all positions to be contested and seriously adhere to the provision of the party constitution. That is Senator Walid Jibrin, the chairman of the PDP's Board of Trustees, appealing to members of the party to remain calm in the face of the internal party wranglings. Now, there are major political parties in the land. You cannot deny in terms of the membership, the size, the positions held by members of the party across the land, either in the National Assembly and in some states. APC, PDP have proven themselves to be Nigeria's main political parties. But in the last few months leading up to the 2023 elections, there are some parties that have sprung up, and one of them is the New Nigeria's People's Party. Some of the members are not new faces in the Nigeria political scene. Some of them include the presidential candidate of the party, who had also run for the ticket of all other political parties like the APC and PDP as a presidential aspirant, is Senator Robbie Musa Kwankwaso. Only yesterday, they're proving themselves to be a third force or an alternative to the APC and PDP ahead of the 2023, and have since appointed Mr. Ladipo Johnson and Honorable Abdulmumin Jibrin as the spokespersons of the Presidential Campaign Council. Tonight, we have joining us right here in our Abuja studio, a former member of the House of Representatives, a chieftain of the NNPP, and who was just recently yesterday being appointed as a spokesperson of the Kwankwaso Idahosa NNPP Presidential Campaign Council, Honorable Abdulmumin Jibrin. Thank you so much indeed for coming.
Thank you very much, Shion, for having me back again.
The last time, or some time ago, you were on this platform and you were speaking for Bola Tinubu. You moved from the APC, you had your grievances, and you moved into the NNPP. Now you have been asked to speak for the campaign council. What does this mean exactly? I understand you are running for the House of Reps also on the platform of the NNPP.
Yeah. Well, it's a straightforward matter. I was, of course, in the APC, and I pitched my tent with Asuwaju Bola Tinubu and at some point when the party wasn't looking like a home for me, and I have to look for another home. And luckily for me, I found another home with, of course, a very, very strong national leader, a very experienced politician, a technocrat by every standard, who nobody in this country is doubting his capacity and ability to be able to steer the ship of this country. And I don't think there's any contradiction, because I have never swallowed back my words. What I said about Tinubu, everything I said about him and the rest. I'm not saying, no, I didn't say that. The only difference is that I'm lucky. I went into another party, got a presidential candidate that I believe will do better than Aswaju as a president.
But you saw to me in an interview I had with you that Bola Tinubu will be the next president of Nigeria.
But that was in January 2022. We're in August, Shehu.
Can I also hold you to your words, and Nigerians can hold you to your words?
I'm very sure.
You said, Inshallah, I said, by the grace of God, that's Arabic. You told us on this platform that Bola Tinubu will be the next president of Nigeria. So what has changed between January and now?
You've just answered it. If you ask any Muslim, I'm sure that all the Muslims watching this program today will know that an answer has been given. I said, Inshallah. And when a Muslim says, Inshallah, is by the will of God.
You are the one, honorable.
So, no, I'm telling you this.
You brought ulamas.
Yes.
And I saw them. You brought them into your compound. They were praying. You said about 1,000 of them.
Yes.
And they saw that Bola Tinubu is the next president.
Yes.
So what are they saying now?
They prayed for him to be president. I believe he is a good material to be president. He's a good pilot, and the rest, everything remains the same. But the most important thing is that I moved to another party and found a presidential candidate whom I believe, in terms of pedigree and in terms of capacity, has an edge over Aswaju Bola Tinubu. But that does not in any way invalidate what I have said about Aswaju. At any point, I've never taken back my words.
You know, the thing for Nigerians and my viewers tonight, a lot of them who have stuck with this program for several years, who perhaps may be confused as to what exactly to the words of politicians, if it means anything to them, whether or not politicians can say A and stick to it. As a matter of the fact that those people you told they should follow Bola Tinubu, and now you are telling them you just switched and you are now going to be speaking. And you told us, some Nigerians, that Bola Tinubu is the way. Now you're saying, no, there's another better person. But just hold your breath, Honorable, for a moment, because we'll take a break. And when we come back, we'll look into some of the details in the NNPP. We'll understand that maybe a former minister and a sitting senator in Kano State, Senator Shekarau, might be leaving the NNPP. The NNPP is the alternative Nigerians are looking forward to ahead of 2023. Stay with me, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us tonight. Honorable Abdulmomen Jibrin, a former member of the House of Representatives, although he still has ambition to go back to the green chambers of the National Assembly. He's been recently appointed as a spokesperson of the NNPP Presidential Campaign Organization. Thank you so much, Honorable Jibrin, for coming out tonight. If you were to don the colors of your party, maybe you will be donning what color will be yellow and something this green time around. The last time, if you were to have done the colors of your political parties, probably would have been blue and red. I mean, someone described, politicians in Nigeria especially, because your addresses keep changing every day. You are known for this, and tomorrow you're known, and you switch back and switch on, and you confuse your followers, and it's difficult to even give you a title, because that title might soon change. And I was asking you that question in that respect, and what you said about Bola Tinubu to your followers, and what you're now saying, that there is another better man. You are the one who was on the vanguard preaching about Bola Tinubu as the best thing that has happened to this country. Now you're saying Kwankwaso is better. What are your reasons?
Yeah, I have answered that question repeatedly, and if I am going to put them, I don't want to do a kind of a comparison. But again, I have always said this, that all the presidential candidates, well, if you say the 4 major presidential candidates, or the 3, if you say Nkwankwaso, Tinubu, and Atiku, and then of course you put Peter Obi, I've always said, in fairness, all of them relatively have the capacity to run this country. But what I've always maintained is that Kwankwaso has an edge, clearly has an edge, in terms of experience, in terms of the responsibilities that he's held, in terms of exposure, in terms of what he has achieved as governor. Everything that we are saying that Kwankwaso is going to do is what he has done as a governor. And relating it to the case of Bola Tinubu, I have said it much more earlier. I don't want us to make it a conversation here. I've never taken back any words that I've said about Tinubu, but I have moved to another party, reunite with my political mentor, whom I always believe that has an edge over them. And these things are all things that can be seen clearly. If you look at the resources that was at his disposal as governor of Kano in his first time, in his second time, I've said this over and over again, he laid a solid foundation in Kano, upon which successive government continue to rely upon to implement whatever you are seeing today in Kano. His achievement in agriculture, in education, in managing security in Kano at the height of the insurgency is all clear for people to see. His ambitious infrastructure development, not only concentrating on the city center, but also extending it to the 44 local government. When you go, you will see the footprint. So everything Kwankwaso is talking about, or we are saying that he is going to do, he has done it. The only thing is that he is going to implement it on a larger scale when it comes to the country as a whole. So there's no controversy. The only thing that is permanent in life is change, so that I can be able to put a nail on that coffin. You don't bring back the issue of the Tinubu, the issue of APC. I have moved on. That's in my past. The only thing that is permanent in life is change. Even you yourself now, when you look at your life, you will know that so much has changed between when you came to my house in Kano to do that interview on Tinubu and today that we are seated here. So do not make it too much of a big deal. Circumstances changes people's opinion, and change is permanent.
Circumstances. We're talking about philosophy and ideology.
Yes.
A politician, a human being should have an ideology, something that you stand for.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about here.
Yes.
I mean, because can Nigerians hold on to what politicians say? Someone like yourself, can Nigerians believe what you say? Why should they believe what you're saying now if you told them something differently 8 months ago?
Yeah, because
so that's the question.
Yeah, because everybody will look at the reasons. When I spoke 8 months ago, I advanced reasons. When I am speaking now, I have just advanced reasons. So it now depends on somebody who wants to listen and understand, or he doesn't want to. Talking about philosophy, it's one of the advantages, it's one of the reasons why I feel very, very glad, very happy that I have changed that ship. I have finally arrived at a place working under a man that everybody knows he's playing politics of ideology. The Kwankwasia ideology. And that is the foundation of the NNPP. The Kwankwasia ideology is founded on the masses. And that's why when sometimes you see people in the public, they rate the NNPP and Kwankwaso and they say, oh no, we are not front runners in the election, etc. I just laugh, because we don't engage on flashy things. You don't see him with flashy people and the rest. But when you go to his house, both in Abuja, Kaduna, and Kano, all you will see are masses from across the country. So we're working with a poor man. We're working with a man on the street. We're working on a man who needs to put food on his plate, on his table, on a daily basis. And when you go to Kwankwaso's house every day, those are the kind of people that you are going to see. And when it comes to election, our eyes are on the numbers.
Where do you think he ranks right now, politically, amongst his peers?
Let me save you too much grammar, as my people in Lagos will say. We are in this election to win. Kwankwaso is in this election to win. We are not in this election for a joke. We are all hands in this game. We know our game. We know our game plan. We have our joker, and at the end of the day, he will emerge victorious.
I mean, I'm very sure that some of these conversations are you're not alien to them. The fact that those who are saying Kwankwanso is actually fronting for some other candidates. What would you say to those who believe that that's what is going on or playing out?
Okay, let me tell you, I've heard that rumor everywhere and the rest, and I think it's all part of the political game by opponents and the rest to demarcate your political party and also demarcate your candidate. But let me tell you this authoritatively. I'm the spokesman of this presidential campaign organization, and I'm telling you this. Kwankwanso is not working for anyone. He's not going into any sort of working relationship or alliance with anyone that will require him to step down, except if the other party will be the one that will come and align with him. Kwankwanso is not going into alliance with anybody. And we want to tell our followers, we want to tell our supporters to disregard such information flying around. We are not going into alliance with anyone. We are not going into partnership with anyone. We are not stepping down for anybody. We are in this election to win, and we are going full stretch.
Was your camp saying that Peter Obi will not win? Perhaps those are comments as linked to your presidential candidate, and that he needed Kwankwanso to be able to get victory. Now, it does look, with the wave of what we're saying, the conversation, and if you see the Labour Party candidate, because that conversation stemmed from the proposed visit of Peter Obi to Kwankwanso and the possibility of an alliance between both men, whether or not Peter Obi was going to be the running mate to Kwankwanso. Now that's where the conversation came up, and he said, look, he needed him. He was right there seated, and that same chair you were sitting. Said, look, he needed him, and he would have made a very good decision by coming to him. Now, the big question here is that if you look at what people are saying, maybe Peter Obi that he's talking about now, he goes everywhere and he gets a warm reception, a rousing welcome in most of the places that that he has visited, showing some kind of political popularity as far as the race is concerned right now. Some, in fact, will rate Peter Obi way higher than Kwankwanso at the moment in the race. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I don't want a situation where we will have a conversation where it will look as if you are colliding us with
it's a competition. It's a competition. Either you like it or not.
Yes.
You are in the race. It's a race, and you are in a competition.
I would rather take it from a general angle. I have said it to you very clearly that at least I'm experienced enough to understand these things, for us to understand our roadmap to success, our roadmap to victory. And as far as we are concerned, Kwankwanso has his edge. What you need to look at is that our party is a party of only 3 to 4 months, just 4 months. And why you don't hear us talking so much is because we're working. What we've done is to make sure that we have the North locked down. In the last few months, everywhere, every part of the North. Now, do you hear any governor saying we don't have a NNPP?
Is that the same reason? Is that the same reason? Let me answer because it's part of it. And now, is it the reason why they say your party is a regional party?
Just a moment. We have sealed that part, and now we are going into the southern part of the country, and that is why we carefully choose a running mate, a young man, an experienced man, and we make sure that we did it in a way that we have a balanced ticket in every ramification. And what we're doing now, we're looking at our units. I didn't want to say this, just for you to know. We're looking at our units, the 170 units across the country, putting our pointsmen there, making sure that our votes will not be hijacked by any political party. So we have an edge. This man has been in public service for about 30 years. He has colleagues all around the country, former members of the House of Representatives, former senators, former governors, former ministers who are working for him day and night. When it comes to election show, forget about the story. You will hear people talking here and there. Look, my experience in managing campaigns, you put your eyes on the numbers. You put your eyes to where people will vote.
What are the numbers? What numbers do you have right now?
I don't have...
What numbers do you have working for you?
Particularly when in the previous election, the party that won the election, they were relying on a chunk of 12 million votes from the northern part of the country. I tell you this, take it to the bank. that those votes belong to Kwankwaso. He's the most loved person. He's the single most influential politician today in northern Nigeria. You don't have anybody like him that has that direct connection with the masses of the country. And now we're building our tentacles in the southern part of the country. We are crossing over the so-called elites, and we're dealing with the masses, unit by unit. I think one day I will need to take you to one of our situation room, and you see the kind of work that is going on there. Our eyes is on the numbers. Our eyes are on people that are going to protect our vote on the day of elections.
I mean,
so that's the point.
Thank God you have experience in the National Assembly, so you understand what structure and local politics means.
Absolutely.
You cannot win a presidential election without having a structure that is deeply rooted down into the grassroots. Now, would you say that you can boast of that? Because you having membership is is a different kettle of fish entirely. But having the structure is I'm very sure that you understand what I mean. You're saying that you have members in all the polling units, but do you have the structure? It's a different thing entirely.
What is structure? Structure means you have somebody who can stand and protect whatever is yours at the national level. You have somebody who can do same at the state level, at the local government level, at the ward level, at the unit level. We are practical politicians.
You know what you are up
against? This thing is not rocket science.
No.
You know the advantage we have?
Honorable, you know what you are up against?
You know what you are up against?
Absolutely. You know what you are up against?
And that's the response.
So now, for example, you will be up against political parties who have, for example, a party that has 22 state governors. You'll be up against them.
Yeah.
Political party that has 15 state governors.
Yeah.
Would you go, for example, to a state that has ABGA, for example, Anambra State? You'll be up against that party in that state. So that's the structure. You don't have National Assembly members. You don't have State Assembly members. These are the structures politically that amount to something in election.
Let me tell you, of course, I have seen political parties that will come, and the only thing they will tell you is we have governors. And I know, and I understand their psyche. And all they understand is that we have 22 governors, or we have 13 governors, and because of that, we are going to win. But let me tell you, there are two key determinant factors. One, how many of such governors have the capacity and the goodwill as at today to deliver their states? How many of those governors? And two, how many of those governors are willing to genuinely and 100% work for their own presidential candidates? These are some of the factors that will come to play. Now, look at it. In 2015, and that is why I keep saying it is not the number of governors that gives you, when it comes to presidential election, it's not governors. Otherwise, in 2015, PDP would have won the election because it was almost the same ratio of governors between APC and PDP. So the number of governors has its own advantage and the rest. But again, when it comes to a presidential election, there are other factors that come to play. You can have a governor and the governor will not be able to deliver the state. We just finished one with Osun. Can't you see what happened in Osun? The ruling party, the APC, they have a sitting president, a sitting vice president, a sitting senate president, a sitting speaker of the House of Representatives, 40 ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 700 head of parastatals and board chairman, ambassadors, and the rest, all deployed to go and deliver one state. They lost the state. What is that telling you?
Since you went there, let me also, because you are also you're also an academic, so I'll take you to, I mean, before you write exams, sometimes you write mock exams.
Yeah.
To prepare you for the main exam.
Yes.
So I'm very sure that you're also thinking in that respect. Now, I heard of the 2023 election. Ekiti and Osun elections are like mock exam for most political parties. Did you feed the election? Did you feed governorship candidate in the Ekiti?
Yes, we feed governorship candidate, but if you followed, no, I can ask. Okay, please.
You don't even know what question I wanted to ask.
Yeah,
so you said you fed candidates in both states.
Yeah.
What was the performance of your candidates there?
Well, I have just said to you that we're a party of 3 months, and we're taking things systematically. We focused on the northern part of the country and ensured that we've sealed it, and we've moved to the southern part of the country, and we're hoping that in the next 2 or 3 months, we'll be able to complete, and I'll be able to sit down and tell you that we have systematically completed what we want to do. I think you should be more concerned about a party that is in power or has been in power, that has all the resources, both human and material resources, and they're not able to deliver the state. Rather than looking at a party that is just coming on board just 2-3 months 3 months ago. By the time the campaign starts and the fireworks start, I think Nigerians are going to see a lot of things.
What edge do you think your party has over the other parties?
Because everybody knows what is happening to APC. APC is like a damaged aeroplane, 3 engines, all knocked and everything and the rest. And PDP are saying, yes, we also had a damaged aeroplane, but ours is better. Nigerians have tested both of them. Nigerians know what they're going through under APC. Nigerians know what they went through under PDP. You know what, Shehu? This coming election, it's not, look, it's a straight matter. It's a simple matter. What Nigerians are looking for, it's alternative. And everybody knows that when you are looking for a practical alternative, without mentioning my word, practical alternative, what you have is NNPP and Kwankwaso.
What is happening with Senator Shekara? We understand that he might be leaving the party. What is going on?
Well, to be honest with you, we don't have any problem with Senator Shekara. I was involved in the entire process of the negotiation that brought in Senator. I was seated right in the living room on the day we concluded it. It's just that what happened, of course, the talks here and there is that a lot of his supporters weren't carried along in terms of giving them tickets to contest election. But again, he came in very late. Get me right, I have a fantastic relationship with him, mutual respect, no problem whatsoever. And but again, he came in very late, practically just a day before the closing date for submission of names. And then primaries have been done and tickets have been given and the rest. And so it was agreed. It was agreed that whatever you've gotten so far in terms of the tickets, 1 or 2 persons that were able to get theirs, every other thing, because we know by the grace of God, we are going to make government at the level of Kano. We're taking over the state. We're taking over the federal government. And we said, look, by the time we take on over government, we will bring in all your supporters and be able to help them. But that is just by the way. So we do not have problem with Shekara. But let me tell you something. Assuming, because I don't know whether it's a fact, assuming other parties are trying to flirt with Shekara, what we need to look at is history. The problem of Nigeria is that we forget history. In 2015, what happened? There was a merger. Shekara was part of the founding fathers of APC. And by the time Kwankwaso was coming into APC, Shekara said he cannot cohabit with Kwankwaso. He moved to PDP. Became a senator under Jonathan, had access to resources and everything and the rest. What happened after the election? Kwankwaso won, took over Kano, because the state, that is where you know who controls the politics of the state. Kwankwaso won. Fast forward 2019, all of us unfortunately followed Ganduje. That unfortunately, I will explain it when campaign really starts. We all followed Ganduje. Shekara came to Ganduje. Kabiru Gaya Ganduje, Barau Jibrin Ganduje, Kao Smaila, every big name you know in Kano politics, we all went with Ganduje. What happened? Kwankwaso alone, standing alone, defeated us in the gubernatorial election and won in the election. What you saw there was just official figure that was announced. But in reality, Kwankwaso won the governorship election. So if you want to go and flirt with the Shekara, what are you flirting for? What do you want? Sometimes I don't understand these things. Nobody will leave NNPP in Kano that can shake Kwankwaso. Nobody. And this is not an attack on Shekara. I like him. We love him. We want him in NNPP. We respect him a lot. And we believe that we have a future with him altogether.
So either with him or without him, you are fine.
No, we're absolutely fine.
That's a former governor.
Absolutely fine.
A former minister.
We're absolutely fine.
A sitting senator.
But I've just given you history. No, I'm not. It's not theory.
I'm counting you because I know.
2019, all of us were all together. Kwankwaso trashed us. So there's no any something. I think maybe the way I took you to Kano about a year ago, I need to take you back to Kano, and this time around for you to study the ideology of the Kwankwaso. And sometimes you see people will say, "Oh, only Kano," even though we are not in Kano alone. But when they say Kano, only Kano, is Kano only? It's kind of only with over 6 million registered voters. You don't have the Buhari 12 million. Our program, let me not start opening things for you. Our target is to start up Konkoso in the next presidential election with 5 million votes. And we will do it. We will do it. We are designing all to start him up with 5 million votes from Kano. And somebody will say, Kano alone?
There are 19 states in northern Nigeria.
Northern Nigeria.
Yeah. How many states do you think Konkoso can win?
To be honest with you, I can tell you as it stands today, I will rather say, where do you think Konkoso cannot win? Where?
Plateau.
Where do you think?
I'm asking, Plateau, can he win it?
No, why?
No, I'm asking you. You are the politician. I am the journalist. So you are the one that is doing the analysis. Plateau, Kwara, Benue.
Did you see Konkoso in Kwara last week?
Nasarawa.
No, okay. Now you've asked. Let me take it one after the other. Did you see Konkoso in Kwara last week? Did you see him in Kwara? He is going into Nasarawa. In the next few days, he is going into Plateau. Then we'll come back to this show and you assess it. And you see what's going to happen. We're dealing with the real voters, Shemun. Forget these, the big men in Agbada and the rest. That's not where the politics is. When it comes to election, we're talking about numbers.
Thank you so much, Honorable Abdulmimid Jibril.
Thank you.
Do you still have an appointment under this government?
No, absolutely not.
You left?
Yeah, of course. Long time ago.
Thank you, Honorable Abdulmimid Jibril, former member of the House of Representatives, in fact, a House of Reps candidate in Kano State on the platform of the NNPP in the BBG constituency. Thank you so much, and the spokesperson of the NNPP presidential campaign. Thank you indeed for coming.
Thank you so much.
But that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for coming. I'm sure Kimbalo. Bye for now.